the food truck conversation shouldn't just be about Central.
Yep, you ain't kidding. Because I have food trucks out here.
Okay.
and I gave my 2 cents. Because I know about the Central stuff.
Yeah.
I said, as long as they are X amount of yards or feet away from an establishment that serves food, I think they should be good. And then all the other, other stuff.
The timing and stuff. But for your
24
business,
hours, I think that's crazy. Some people are open until 5 in the morning. But
it is an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I always tell people, there are 2 sides of diversity. One of them is you have all these different cultures, customs, and languages and preferences. The other side is you have all of these different cultures and customs and preferences that sometimes they clash.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Strawberry Hill Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Simmons, and we are here at the Shop Cigar Lounge. Like I said before, and I'll say it again, if you have not been here, you got to come visit, got to come check this out. One of the best places on the hill, if I should say. But let's get to, I guess before I get to our guests, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Make sure you follow us on all our platforms. And I have my lovely assistant, Eastside, giving me some water.
Look at that. Look at that.
Look
right
at that.
On time.
I know. So we'll get started here. We got on the podcast today Commissioner Andrew Davis.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. It has been it's a Tuesday. So Tuesdays are always busy.
Yeah.
But no, it's beautiful outside. I really can't complain. It's been good. It's been a good day.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about you, man. Like, so where you're from and
good.
It's Chicago, right?
Yeah. You're there. Yes. So I was born in Chicago in the Logan Square neighborhood. My childhood is very interesting because I moved around quite a bit. But born in the Logan Square neighborhood, my family, we actually had a church on the west side of the city in the Austin neighborhood. And so it's like northwest, if you know anything about the Chicago area. Yeah. And within that area, we had a church for a little over a decade. And that was where I spent the majority of my childhood. So kind of the Logan Square, Humboldt Park, Austin area was where I spent my time. And my dad was a minister. He's not ministering right now, but was a minister. And my mom, there were 7 of us.
There's 7 of you.
That's 3 jobs. And that is the contribution. Like, that's it. It's just raising.
So where were you at in the?
So I am the 6th youngest. It's me and then my younger sister, and then everybody else is older. And so there were 3 boys. So there were 4 boys. Yeah. I'm the 4th boy. And then 3 girls.
So by the time they got to you, they're like, just do whatever.
I don't know what. God bless them, because I don't know what was going on. So, within that, service was always a part of our ethos as a family. Just watching, like my earliest memories is, my dad preaching and us getting a building and us really helping the community in that area of Chicago. Super interesting because although, you had a black senior pastor, our church was anything but that.
Really?
I often tell people, Wyandotte County, I feel so comfortable here because it's so familiar to me, right? We have no ethnic majority here in Chicago. There's no ethnic majority either.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's none, and no one's 50% or more. And so there's a history of segregation, and there's a history to that. But with that came my experience, which was a beautiful tapestry of diverse families and relationships that are still, alive today. And so we had a growing and a huge Puerto Rican population.
Yeah.
So when Andrea and I go back to Chicago to visit for family stuff, we are like, all right.
So your family's still there?
Yeah. So my grandmother's still there, aunts and uncles. My parents actually live in California. I'll get to that. But the majority of my siblings live in Chicago or the Chicago area. And so, Yeah, we learned a lot about service, and we had Spanish services. We had Filipino families and Vietnamese families and Puerto Rican, Mexican,
you had everything.
Native, all under this black pastor. And it's super interesting that all of this was able to happen in my childhood.
Yeah.
Like this was just perceived as normal. So moving on to my teen years, my mom had passed away from breast cancer. My dad had remarried. Yeah, thank you. My dad had remarried, and my stepmom, she's from California. She's from Pomona, California. And so that's where the California connection comes in a little bit later. But I went to 3 high schools in 3 different states. Yeah, we ended up losing our church in Chicago. We moved to Arkansas. Spent my junior year. High school, 9 months in Arkansas. I actually loved it. So Sherwood, Arkansas, yeah, kind of the northern Little Rock area. And then I finished my junior year and did my senior year in Rancho Cucamonga, California.
Man, you went from Chicago to Arkansas to
California,
Cali, and now to KC.
Yes. So it was quite something. I came to Kansas by way of KU. It was actually for their public administration program that at the time was like, okay, this was cool, but I'm a politics junkie, poli-sci nerd. And so I was like, okay, cool. I wanted to come back to the Midwest, but Illinois schools are really expensive. And so I was like, I heard of, the Jayhawks. They beat from like the Chicagoan in me is like they beat Derrick Rose. That's what I knew about about the university. And I actually wanted I wanted KU to win because at the time I thought the Bulls should have gotten Mike Beasley instead of Derrick Rose, and thank God we got Derrick Rose. But that's all I knew, and so it's got my bachelor's in public administration, political science, got my master's in public administration, and the Wyandotte County connection, because I'm sure you're going to ask about that.
That was my next question. Like, how in the world did you get from all these states and cities,
kind of go around
KU? Then you're like, I'm going to pick Wyandotte County.
So my lovely wife Andrea is a dot through and through, right? Sumner grad. We stay off of 75th Street, but she was raised her childhood homes off of 64th, and I was a minister right after graduating college in my bachelor's. Got laid off because, COVID and all that good stuff wasn't good stuff. It wasn't good stuff. But for me, it was good in the sense of it forced me to look at what do I want to do with my career.
I didn't know you were a minister.
I was a minister. There's a lot of lives. So in addition to my poli-sci degree, I studied religious studies. And I was very active in campus ministry and all of that good stuff.
Trying to follow in the dad's footsteps.
Quickly things changed.
I don't know about this.
Quickly things changed. But Andrea, she, at this time, this was 2019, 2020, she was getting her master's degree in social work. She had worked at Wyandotte High School. I was transitioning into grad school. And so we're like, well, you're the one with the job. We should just move closer because that commute is a lot. Yeah. And the rest kind of just.
So you get to Wyandotte County.
Yeah.
And when did you move back here? Or not back here.
So 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
So, and then I guess, what did you do then when you moved here?
So I was in grad school.
So you're just going back and forth to school.
So, it was during COVID because it was 2020. Okay. So most of my schooling was online. There were a few exceptions, which I was never a fan of. I'm like, why don't we just do all of this online? Why am I having to make that commute?
Yeah.
So I was doing that. And then I also interned for the city of Lawrence in their city manager's office. So that was what really kind of piqued my interest in like local government and understanding the importance of local government in the lives of people, right? So often our media focuses on like the federal government and in Congress and all that stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's just so much to understand. This is far more finite for Andrew to really understand and try to make a difference.
So you work for the city of Lawrence.
Yep.
What was it again?
So I was just interning in the city manager's office. Yep. Okay. So I was just interning while I was getting my schooling. It did. I got to, this is 2020, 2021. So there's a lot of things happening, during that time. The pandemic's happening,
a
lot of changes, right? You have the election.
I forgot about that.
So much is taking place, and kind of seeing behind the veil in local government was really like, all right, I like this thing.
Yeah.
Right?
And so then you were like, let me put my foot in this race. Dip my toe.
For me, it wasn't, originally the plan. I had been working on other campaigns at that time. And my thinking was, so KU has the #1 school for local government management in the country.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Better than Harvard, better than Indiana, better than Syracuse. Those are like the competitors. And every year, we're just the program and all the experiences that it offers is just, ASU's up there, Arizona State, but still KU has been #1. It's been like that for, goodness, over 20 years now.
Yeah.
And so my thinking was, well, what would it look like to apply like some of these best practices to Wyandotte County? Not necessarily from the perspective of being a staff member and being a city manager, but from the perspective of an elected official.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, as elected officials, we make the final decisions, as opposed to all of these other people with degrees and specialities, but they're not accountable to the people like I am as an elected official.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I don't think a lot of people realize that. Yeah.
It's a heavy task. It's a heavy lift. It is.
Like it relies on you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the final decision. Yeah. You have 10 commissioners and then the mayor. So the 11 of us, it relies a lot of really key decisions, and even getting elected. I mean, I got elected kind of in the middle of kind of the tail end of COVID.
Yeah.
Wild experience.
Yeah.
Wild
so
experience.
Was this the election? Was that your first, like, I'm going to run for something, like your first election?
It was not.
Okay.
Well, I would say from like an adult, yes. But I ran for office twice as a student for like our student government at KU. One of the best experiences ever, because it really taught me the value of being prepared, thinking through campaign strategy, elections, coalitions.
Running a campaign is no joke.
It is a monster.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I got to like cut my teeth where it's like, it doesn't really count. I went for vice president. A friend of mine ran for student body president. And it was, again, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know all of the chess moves, right, that are intended, but it was a really, really great experience that I would hold dear. Like, losing really teaches you how to become a winner and a good winner, right, and win multiple times.
So you decide to run for commissioner.
Yeah.
And then you get it.
Yeah.
So tell me what that experience was like. Like, you're like, because it's one thing with like a lot of people like don't get that chance to do that, like, especially if you're not from Wyandotte County.
Yeah.
So people like entrusted a lot in you because Wyandotte County is so like, you gotta be from the dot.
You gotta be from the dot.
And so they're like, okay, who's this guy?
Yeah.
It seems like he knows his stuff.
Yeah. It was. It's kind of a blur. I feel like I've lived like 6 Netflix seasons where it's like.
Hopefully, it's not like House of Cards. Hopefully, it's
no, it's not. Although I love House of Cards, but not like House of Cards at all. But very like, I feel like in the like. Not just since you've been elected. I mean, with Mayor Garner and with different commissioners getting elected, like, we've really seen our community transform in such a short amount of time. Like, it's hard for me as somebody that's not originally from here to conceive of like, okay, so what was it like in like 2018? Like, it's hard to like visually understand that, because for me, this is the Wyandotte County that I know.
Yeah, there's been so much growth.
The change has been
changes.
Both challenging changes and some really positive, really exciting changes. So for me, I had elected December 21. So 2022 comes. The first big issue was COVID. And God bless our frontline responders and our nurses, and God bless our health department.
Yeah,
because we as commissioners wear a lot of hats. One of them is being kind of a public health official, right, and making these decisions on whether or not businesses have to, continue to mandate masks and things of that nature. And one of the first votes that I made was to remove the mask mandate. Not because I didn't believe, or believed in any of those conspiracy theories. It had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
But it had everything to do with the enforcement piece, right? And so that just gives you an idea of what I was in store for.
Welcome to the show. All right.
I'm like, global pandemic rookie, figure it out, right? And so learning, the big thing I will say is about being, 3 years in now, is learning the importance of relationships with staff, relationships with your community, your constituents, businesses, relationships with other elected officials.
Yeah.
Very important to being successful in getting stuff done.
And it's also hard to get 9 other people or 10 other people on board.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. People don't realize
As
that
people
either.
have
It's
seen, we have our own
it
ideas.
might sound like a good idea, but not to everybody.
Yep. We have good ideas. In Wyandotte County, I mean, we're a small county, right? We're a small county, and with that comes challenges, right? We have kind of suburban feel, right? Suburban development. We have urban development.
Yeah.
And we do have places that are rural in nature. And we went through this with a particular area where there's a real push to preserve that rural feel.
Yeah.
Even though geographically you would say, I don't know if I would consider that a rural part of Wyandotte County. And it has to do with the growth of our community, right? And so, those are some real challenges that I'm taking on.
So what is one thing that you, I guess, since you moved here not too long ago, what is one thing you love about Wyandotte County that you've noticed so far, especially being in politics too?
Yeah. I think Wyandotte County is, obviously, I love our food. I love the rich culture. There's just so many historical gems that even I'm still discovering and still figuring out of man, we're so rich in history of the people that have come before us and that have built up, Argentine here in Strawberry Hill or the Quindaro ruins, or thinking of the Turner right area. It's just, so I love the history. I love the culture. I love the people and the vibrancy that we bring. And just, I don't know, the kind of can-do attitude and kind of we love ourselves a lot. Well,
I always tell people that aren't from Wyandotte County that I ask, I was like, we are probably the most proudest county probably in the country, because I don't know how many other counties have their own shirt with dot original. I don't think
for a county. I've seen cities or towns, but for a county to be this is how proud we are.
And then people call them, dot original or dot transplant. That's a term that people use.
Oh, it's real.
And they're like, oh, you from Wyandotte County? It's like, if you even run into somebody from Wyandotte County, if you're
somewhere
traveling, you're like, oh, you from the dot? And it's just instant connection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, and we've produced some amazing people. I went to the Janelle Monáe concert, and I thought she did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
And I know Eric Stone Street, right from Piper, which if you've seen Modern Family, hilarious.
That's where I'm from. I'm from Piper.
Okay, so Piper area, and there's so many others that have done. I mean, we just have this rich history that I would love to be a part of, telling that history and telling that story and creating pathways.
Well, don't worry, as I'm not the dot ambassador, but I would like to say we accept you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're the second.
I would like to present a shirt to you that says
you're here. Thank you. No, I appreciate it. I think for all the flack that I get, people have saying you're not from here or whatever. It's there's a lot of people that are
you might not be from here, but you live here. And you're starting your family here. You pay taxes here. Your job is here. I mean,
own property here.
You own property here. So it's
What more do you want?
Yeah, what more? It's like, trash. Is there a time limit or?
I don't know. No one's told me what that is, but.
And then now you ran for office, so it's like you represent a section of Wyandotte County, so it's like.
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, like I think we could accept you.
You said it, not me, but I'm just working to make sure that we're doing a good job. So.
Yes. So. What district is it? The
District 8.
District 8.
Yeah. Yep.
And so how's everything going so far?
It's good. We have a town hall coming up May 21st at Eisenhower Rec Center from 6 to 8 p.m. I'm going to have some Holy Smokes barbecue and talk about Parks and Rec investment in the 8th District. And so we have 3 parks in the district, right? Eisenhower, Thompson, and Wellborn. And so our Parks and Rec department, they've been doing a phenomenal job given the limited amount of resources they've been given. And it's really exciting because I think this commission and even the commission prior to this one, we've made it very clear that we value our Parks and Rec department. And although our resources are limited, we've started to see more investment and more funding and quite frankly, just more attention.
Yeah.
People asking questions of, hey, what does it look like? Your commissioner's been asking for a park in the area. And so these conversations were not the top conversations when I was looking at UG meetings in 2020 and beforehand. And so that's really exciting.
Y'all got to fix those commission meetings. I'm sorry. That wasn't on my notes to talk about, but you said it. I was like, I got this reminder. Those things go way too damn long.
They do. We have a process. We have a chair. That chair runs the meeting how they see fit.
Yeah, we ain't trying to throw nobody in their bus.
No. They run the meeting how they see fit. I recently was appointed as chair to the Neighborhood and Community Development Standing Committee, and I try to be mindful of time because of that experience.
Yeah,
where like literally I'm like, hey, I think it's getting a little late. No one is in the right mind to make a vote on anything important.
Especially like 1 a.m. We're like, all right, we making a vote. We're still here?
So let's go ahead and wrap this up and table some things. And we'll go ahead and discuss this at another time. Right.
I will say that because I noticed that you as a commissioner so far, that you have been very active in the community, which I appreciate. And you are not quiet on issues.
Yeah.
Which I also appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like you're vocal, and you are vocal in a good way where you want, not only are you expressing your opinion, you're expressing what you believe is the community's opinion too. Yeah. So I do appreciate that because, I'm not saying that other commissioners don't. I noticed that you do that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 28 years old, and so I'm a millennial, and one of the things that always frustrates me is I look at kind of our election commission does a really good job of breaking down the data of who's voting, who's active, who's running for office. And I just don't see a pathway forward in our community if we do not get other generations involved. But that doesn't happen if Commissioner Markley, who is around my age when she first got elected and served 12 years. Right. Commissioner Ramirez, who was also in his 20s, who got elected and is in his second term. And then, of course, you have myself. It's super important. It's nothing against my other colleagues, but there is a unique perspective that we offer and a unique way of seeing the world and engaging the world. That we
kind of have a different view of things that, like, it's not, I shouldn't say old school mentality, but it's like you're a different generation where you're listening to, like, you know a little bit more on like that generation than
the issues that, and if you look at the average Wyandotte Countyan, they're most likely going to be a person of color, and they're probably going to be in their like mid 30s, right? Early 30s of that, may have 1 or 2 kids. I mean, I always tell people, they're like, you're young. I'm like, I'm actually closer to the average the resident that's here than some of the other folks that may be a little bit more vocal. And that means something when we discuss economic development and housing and childcare and schools and infrastructure and what amenities we want to offer our community, right? It means something to have that seat at the table and be able to share that perspective.
So you said a little bit about economic development. And I definitely want to hit on that topic because, like, we're in Strawberry Hill, and this area is starting to like really boom.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people want to be down here. A lot of businesses want to be down here.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see like a culture change, not really like race or anything, but it's just like a younger generation is starting to move in.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of development is, being planned to be down here.
Yes.
And, has been proposed. I guess, what are your thoughts on kind of like business development down here on the hill?
Yeah, I think it's really, really exciting. I think that if you look at cities, their downtown is kind of the heart of it.
Yeah, like the heart, the
right?
mecca of
it's like, this is where I will experience culture. This is where I'll experience what your city has to offer. And so it is super important, I think, for us to think about the development's going to happen. I don't think Strawberry Hill needs to be like pitched or marketed. Just look at what the homes are selling for, and that will tell you what's going on.
It's like, why do you buy something down here quick?
It is happening really, really fast. But the other question becomes, how do we grow in a way that is smart, right? One of the ways that I think we have to decide is, do we mix market rate with affordable, and to how much, right? How much affordable, how much market rate? The 4th and Minnesota project with Flirting in Collins is one example of a massive project that can bring more customers to the shop and bring more customers to Kinship and more customers to Davenport. But we know that there is a certain demographic that will come, right? Professionals that will be able to buy and purchase and afford things that our residents here may not be able to. And so what does it mean for us to balance that out to make sure that there's good development?
Yeah.
But I'm of the perspective of let's go. Let's build. The Lanier project.
Yeah.
Let's build. Let's do it. It's time for us to take a vacant building that's publicly owned, isn't collecting any revenue, and turn it into something that our community can be proud of.
Well, I'm going to hit back on the Lanier project, but I wanted to say, like, I feel like I'm always hearing the conversation of like we want change, we want new development.
Sure.
Then like they see a certain development, like, oh, we don't want that development, or like talk about like the Lanier project.
Yeah.
Like there's a vacant Jack Reardon Center there.
Yeah.
And then like, hey, we're proposing this. It's going to make X amount of dollars. We have a tenant in there. It's going to bring this. They're like, well, we don't want that. Like, well, do you want it just to sit and not make any money?
Yeah.
And then like, you don't want like, it's a weird thing about development in certain communities. I'm not saying that everyone's like that.
Sure.
But it's just like some people love it, but they want to see what they want. And if I know that you get it as a commissioner,
absolutely.
Like, yeah, but we don't want that. Like, well, then exactly what do you want?
One of the things that I think our community sometimes, I think we can do a better job, as an elected official, I can do a better job of explaining, is the importance of making sure that we are able to grow our community, but grow it in a way that people understand the growth, and grow it in a way that will be beneficial. What do I mean by that? The Lanier project has taken a long time. Yeah. And it's still taking a long time for us to get it off the ground and for that developer to find financing. Guess what? There are multiple developments all over Wyandotte County that have been asking for extensions on their agreements, on their incentives, because interest rates are high and the cost of labor has gone up. And so it's really important for us to think about, what do we want in the longer term? It is a public-private partnership. Private dollars have to be invested in order for us to have that conversation. And I think sometimes people think, well, it's just the UG that's putting in all the dollars. No, it's not.
No, not at all. No.
Private capital is being raised. There are investors on the other end of that who are wanting to make hold, who are saying, I'm going to take a risk in your community. And we have to think through, do we want to take the risk with them as well?
Yeah.
And it's starting to change, but for a while, there wasn't a lot of people banging down the doors to develop downtown KCK.
No, not at all.
And I'm hoping with small businesses and what y'all are doing here, what Kinship's doing, what Davenport's doing, what Hey Sugar's doing. Like, I'm hoping that conveys the message that we're small business friendly, but we also want some major developments downtown.
Yeah, I think you need a little mix of both.
Yes.
Like I love the legends, but it's like there's no small mom and pop stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a thriving community needs is you need like those small businesses that like are from the heart of the city, or they're from here, they invest here, and just really kind of shows you what your community is about.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Like you said, like I do want bigger development here too, but I also want to see the same small business like strive there. And I was going to ask you that question too.
Yeah.
Like, how do you make sure that we still care about those small businesses and like we still take, like we're not forgetting about them in the long run?
I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done to help small businesses. When I got elected, we had an economic development director, and we also had a grant for small businesses. Well, fast forward to where we are now, we lost that economic development director, and that grant program is kind of up in the air of who's going to administer and who's going to do what. And so that's a huge, huge problem, right? We have to address the staffing issue first. And then we had a small business liaison when I got elected, right? Like we had these structures in place, and then things just changed. And now the question becomes, how do we adapt to that change?
Yeah.
Right? And how do we get people that are in place that understand? Because we don't want anybody. We want someone that understands how to work with small businesses, and then empower them to help you all thrive. Yeah. We do have organizations like the Black Mastermind Group off of 5th Street that is doing that work. Toolbox, right?
Yeah. So before I started, I went to Toolbox.
Oh, great. Okay.
And shout out to Gabe. He helped me out a lot because it was a class of just like, hey, if you're interested in starting a business, we're here. And just ask us questions. I remember I went, and then one of my friends went, and then it was just another person. I was just like thinking it was going to be a full class. I'm like, people need to take advantage of this.
Yes, for free. It's free. Yeah, you didn't have to pay anything.
I just sat in and I asked Gabe probably 1,000 questions. I felt so bad because he probably wasn't like expecting.
I'm pretty sure he was. He's seen it all.
Yeah, and then it's funny because like I asked him all these questions about how to start a business.
Yeah,
and then I think I went back there like 3 or 4 more
to be
times.
Like, hey, can you?
Yeah, I was like,
say that one thing again?
Yeah, I was like, I wrote it all. It's actually I wrote it in this thing, and I was like, all right, now I'm at this step. So now what do? I know you mentioned it before, but yeah. And he's like, I love to help, but which brings me to like I'm actually trying to do something here to like help. Like kind of the same thing with the Toolbox. It's like, because I have a lot of members that are like in marketing and accounting and banking. So I want to utilize them. They're like, hey, I was trying to do it next month where it's like a business seminar.
Sure.
Like you come in and it's one Wednesday, it's every Wednesday in June. Yeah. And then like, one week it's about marketing. Like you come in, they talk about marketing for your business. And another week it's about like business development. Another week's about banking. And another week I'll have someone from the city, like these are the licensing you got to get. Just because like being a new business owner, a lot of times, or trying to be a new business owner, a lot of people don't like
understand,
know what to do. There's you can read all the books you want, but you don't know what the city wants and all of that stuff. So
it makes all the difference when people know. Yeah. And I've unfortunately have seen folks that running businesses and just didn't know and didn't receive the necessary coaching, mentorship, the investment to be like, hey, we've got to make sure we are paying our sales tax, got to make sure we are paying all these things and really counting the cost. Yep. This is not a fad. This is not just something you do for fun. It's a business. It's it's your life. It's your baby, right? And you have kids, so I'm sure it's very much. There's a lot of effort, right? That's put into this, but unlocking that information, and I'm a big believer in removing barriers to really, really get. Hey, who do you need to connect with? Yeah. Who do you need to talk to? I will do whatever I can to get you connected, to get you that meeting, to get you into that class. and shout out to Toolbox, because they're doing a lot of amazing work.
Yeah.
And just helping people and offering the services for free.
Yeah, it's free.
Yeah.
And that's what I was like I couldn't believe not like that many people weren't taking advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there's so many people that I hear that want to start, their business and want to do this, but they don't like take advantage of the free resources out there.
Yeah.
And then they get into a new business. They're like, oh, I wish I knew this, and this. Like, you could have if you just sat down and used the
learned.
resources.
And it's not a charity.
No.
That's the big, it's not a charity. You are in the business of making a profit, or at the very least breaking even.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other part. I was at a grand opening for a real estate company off of Argentina, Jones and Homes, with Tim, and same thing where I'm like, hey, it's great for people to put all this stuff on social media. It's great for us to say, hey, we have this, hey, we have that.
Yeah.
It's another thing to patronize the business and actually make sure that you're supporting them with your dollars, with references, with positive reviews, right? Those things are that's what keeps small businesses alive. Yep. And I think there's a shift in the culture in our community where it's starting to, get there. It's like, don't just, share, post, but pay. Pay and pay the market rate.
Yeah.
Don't try to look for a deal or anything like that. Right. And if you can't afford at that time, then go at the time that you can, because our businesses should be supported, and it shouldn't just be supported by folks from the outside. They should be supported by residents, community members here.
Yeah. I didn't realize we're like speeding through this. We got like 5 more minutes.
Oh, you're good.
Well, it's all good. I'll have to bring you back on because there's so much other stuff I want to talk about. But so I'll end up with a couple questions. So I guess what is your short-term goal and what is your long-term goal?
Just as commissioner, kind of, So short-term goal, I will say, I want us to land somewhere on the food trucks, somewhere. We're having a meeting May 15th to discuss the proposal that Mayor Garner put before us, and here just, we've been doing a lot of listening, and there's surveys that are out and all that good stuff that commissioners are gathering to hear from not just one area of the community, but as many areas as possible, because the food truck conversation shouldn't just be about Central.
Yep, you ain't kidding, because I have food trucks out here.
Okay.
and I gave my 2 cents, because I know about the Central stuff.
Yeah.
I said, as long as they are X amount of yards or feet away from an establishment that serves food, I think they should be good. And then all the other, other stuff.
The timing and stuff. But for your
24
business,
hours, I think that's crazy. With some people are open until 5 in the morning. But
it is an interesting conversation. Yeah. I mean, again, I always tell people, there are two sides of diversity. One of them is you have all these different cultures, customs, and languages and preferences. The other side is you have all of these different cultures and customs and preferences that sometimes they clash.
Yep.
And that's what we're seeing right now is what's going to be the new standard. And so I would like for us to land there. There's some other legislation I'm working on for childcare access, for senior minor home repair or minor home repair through livable neighborhoods, and then of course a local housing trust fund, and so affordable housing trust fund, and so housing, childcare, home repair are like, if December comes, we have language that's been adopted, and we know how we're going to invest in these important things using the community benefit fund dollars. I will consider that a success. And of course, we have a budget to adopt, which is going to be a behemoth of what do we focus on, considering we have limited resources in all of these needs that we want to address.
Yeah. Good, man. I'm excited that you're one of us.
Of course, I'm glad to be.
For the people.
I'm glad to be claimed.
Yes. Don't worry, we'll claim you.
I claim Wyandotte County. I'm happy to live here. I'm happy to live here. I'm happy to pay taxes here. I'm happy to be in a community that took a chance on me and invested so much in me. And so it's really, really exciting to see the direction of our community and to see small business owners like yourself take risks.
But I also couldn't do it without the community that I live in. Because I mean, they support me, and like some people like you and other people,
Yeah,
in
of
the community,
course.
come and support me. That's all that matters, really. Like as long as you got to support your people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Andrew, I appreciate you coming on.
Of course.
Like I said, we got to do this again because I have so many damn.
I just want to say
so many
I was the
questions.
first commissioner that was
You
invited.
were,
so I
and
just,
that means all you other commissioners. Now you hear it. Now you got to get on.
first one. But no, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
This has been an
thank you, man.
honor, and I enjoyed the conversation.
And so when's your lecture coming up?
Next year.
Next year. All right. So look, I hope you're running again.
There's a lot of we're not there yet. I'm just trying to focus on 2024.
Just like, I got this year left, bro.
So yeah.
All right.
good
Well, I
stuff.
appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure you're keeping up to date with all the Strawberry Hill podcast updates. And we will see you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.